All right, so good evening, ladies, gentlemen. Sorry, good evening, no, it's good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies, gentlemen. It's nice to see you for the first time in this occasion, English Task Work Level 9. So, what are we going to do today? Well, according to the email I sent you this morning, we're going to do a quick presentation of the course, and we will start with our classes tomorrow. ¿Vale? So, what are we going to study today? We are going to, from bottom to the top, we're going to answer some questions about the course. We're going to check some communication channels you can use to contact me. We're going to check the certification process. We will explore the platform. I'm pretty sure you already know how the platform works, but it's also important, not necessary, if just in case, to check what we are going to find in here. We're going to check some information about the course. I'm going to make a quick presentation about myself, and finally, let's begin with this. I want to thank you all for taking this course with us, for your confidence, for trusting in our process, learning process, and teaching process, of course, in the with Centro Agroindustrial Quindío. So we welcome you here to this institution. I'm pretty sure you have taken these previous courses, level 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, in another centers, and I hope you had enjoyed and you had learned a lot with this English as Work courses with different centers in Colombia. Okay, so a quick introduction of the instructor of myself. Well, so starting with the name, my name is Javier Muñoz. I'm from Pasto, Colombia. This is a city in the southeastern of the country. I'm economist. I mean, I studied economics, but meanwhile, I was studying economics. I was also taking the languages courses in the university. So I studied English and Italian. So this is why I'm teaching English right now with Sena. ¿Vale? I have worked at Sena since 2018, so this is my 8th year with the institution. My second year with teaching uh, in a virtual way because I have worked in a presential with presential groups in the past. So this is only because it's important to know who is in front of you. ¿Vale? It's not a requirement, but it's a good idea to present ourselves. So let's go with the important information of the course before we start with with the schedule. Let's remember that our course is 100% virtual. So what does that mean? It means that your work is mostly autonomous, right? And the interaction with the instructor is it's a word. Wait a minute. I'm trying to remember the word. Asynchronic. So, what's the difference between synchronic and asynchronic? And what's the meaning of virtual? Well, let's begin with virtual. Virtual means that you're going to be in contact, in interaction with your partners throughout cell phones, throughout internet, throughout the platform, especially, and that you're not going to be attending a mandatory session because these sessions are optionals, not mandatory, and your work is mostly autonomous because we at Sena work with projects. Let's suppose, for example, this. Let's suppose we are studying something about medicine. I'm not a doctor. I don't know anything about nursing or something else. So if I make a mistake talking about something about medicine, I'm really sorry. But let's suppose you need to know how to vaccine a person, right? So this is the project to learn how to vaccine a person. Therefore, you are going to learn what's a vein, right? how to vaccine a person, what's the vacuum, how many milliliters of liquid you have to introduce in a person, and so on. So these actions will allow you to understand, to know how to vaccine a person for against malaria. Let's suppose that, right? This is a project. Another project, for example, let's suppose you need to build a wall. Let's suppose that. Once again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an architect, but let's suppose I'm sorry for the mistakes, but let's suppose we're going to do this. So to understand how to build a wall, right, un muro, we need to know how what are bricks, how are they used, how are we going to um, glue them, use them using concrete, using dirt, using argamasa or different things, right? And then how to paint it and so on. So this is another project. In terms of English, our projects are, for example, in level one, create a routine, or create in level two, for example, describe a person in your family. In level five, in level three, for example, create talk about food. So what do you need to create delicious food and so on. So we work with projects, and these projects are autonomous. Therefore, you're going to study some topics, something that is going to allow you to do this project. That's the meaning of virtual modality. Additionally, the interaction with the instructor is asynchronical. What does that mean? It means that we, the instructors, are going to be here with you. We are not going to disappear. We are going to be here with you, but in a kind of distant way. What does that mean? What do I mean with this? That means that if you need to ask me something, I'm not going to answer you. I'm not giving you an answer necessarily after 1 or 2 minutes. 1 or 2 minutes after you make the question. I'm going to take some time because in an asynchronous communication, I am not necessarily going to be connected with the group because I'm going to be working with another groups. So this is an asynchronous communication. Compared, for example, with the traditional education where your instructor is in front of you, right, in a classroom, and, in there you have synchronical communication, like when in television you say en vivo y en directo. Now we have some kind of a gap, a space of time to give you the answers. So this is something important to understand when we are talking about virtual courses. ¿Vale? What else do we need to understand or remember? Because you have already taken A levels, I hope. We are going to take a 4 weeks course, 4 weeks and 2 days, 4 weeks and 3 days, approximately. And in this time, we're going to present 3 evidences. We're going to check the evidences in the learning guide. ¿Vale? Once we finish the evidences or we present them and approve them, right? We're going to get a certificate. This certificate will allow you to, or more precisely, with this certificate, you will be able to improve your curriculum vitae, right? Su hoja de vida. So it's the more certificates you have, the better your curriculum vitae will be. Okay? Additionally, because we are going to have 3 evidences, we're going to have 6 official sessions, 2 sessions to explain 1 evidence. Not only to read the learning guide, of course, not, because if you are going to, if I am going to read the learning guide, it could then be necessary to meet with for you to meet with me on these spaces, right? Of course, I'm going to read a specific part of the learning guide, but I'm going to explain topics that I think are going to be useful to you to present or to develop your activity, ¿vale? So we're going to have 2 sessions for each evidence, 2 sessions each week. In this case, tomorrow and Saturday, next week on Thursday and Friday, and next week, Thursday and Friday again, always at 4 p.m., except for this Saturday, because this Saturday we will have the class at 8 a.m. Additionally, if you cannot stay in the class, if you cannot be here because you are working perhaps, I suggest you, I strongly recommend you, is not mandatory, of course not, but I recommend you to check the recording of the session. This is just an advice. If you don't want to do it because you prefer to check the componentes formativos, right? It's okay too. Finally, if you need to contact me for any reason, there are 4 ways you can take into account to do it. The first possibility is by these sessions. For example, in here, you can type me your questions here in the chat. This is a possibility number 1. The possibility number 2 is in the platform. When we go to Sayuna, you can find a dialogue icon here, right, next to your name. And if you look for my name, you're going to be able to make me a question every single day in the week. ¿Vale? I'm going to be connected to the platform every Monday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. to answer your questions, right? So this is going to be this space, this hour in a week is going to be a synchronical hour for you. However, if you make me a question on Sunday, on Tuesday, on Saturday, for example, I'm not going to answer you the question in the specific moment you type me the question. I'm going to maybe take some time because I'm going to be working in something different, working with my other fichas, right? Level 2, level 3, level 4, for example. But I'm going to give you an answer. Let's remember that we have 24 hours, business hours more precisely, we don't count Saturdays, Sundays, and holiday Mondays. We have 24 business hours to answer your questions, to reply in the forums, and 48 hours to check your evidences. So this is the second option for you to contact me. The third option, let's go with the contact options now. The third option is by the forum Foro de Dudas e Inquietudes, Doubts and Concerns. When you click in the Foro de Dudas e Inquietudes and click in añadir un nuevo tema de debate, right, you're going to be able to ask me anything related to the platform, for example, related to a topic in English, for example, vocabulary, and so on. For example, last year, one of my students asked me how the second conditional worked because the componentes formativos were not clear for her. So I explained her what how the second conditional worked, what topics she needed to understand, and so on. So this is the other option for you to contact me. ¿Vale? So you have 1 hour to of synchronical contact with me through Sayuna. You can contact me through the online sessions, through the discussion forums, and finally, and in my case, the most important one, because I check the email every single day, even on Sundays, is my email, insjavierm@gmail.com. With all these 4 options, you can contact me, and I'm going to try to answer your questions as soon as possible. Okay, let's continue. What else do we need to remember, what's our target population? Because SENA is a public institution and we live because of the taxes we Colombians pay, right? Therefore, Colombians over 14 years old are our population, our target population. Why not people? Why not younger people than 14? Why not 13-year-old, 12, 10-year-old kids, right? It's because we are not part of the education ministry. We are part of the working ministry. Therefore, if we accept a kid, a 9 years old kid, that means that we are promoting the child labor, and this is not our purpose, of course not, right? Additionally, if you are not Colombian but you have a permission to be here, for example, you have a cédula de extranjería, permiso de permanencia, and so on, that means that you're paying taxes. Therefore, you can accept take the benefits we offer for all the citizens, all Colombian citizens. Okay. Okay, so this is something we needed to mention, and some important information we needed to mention before we start with the course. So let's go with the learning guide, the schedule, and the platform. According to the schedule, by the way, there are two options to mention this word. Schedule, this is American, and schedule, this is British, but both are correct. According to the schedule, we are going to start the program today, right? And the course is going to finish on the 20th of August. However, you will be able to present your activities until the 15th of August. But why is there a gap here? So, in fact, it's a huge gap, right? Well, it's because if we check the calendar, the 15th of August is Friday. Saturday, Sunday, on Saturday and Sunday we don't work. That's the idea. And on the 18th of August is a holiday Monday, right? So these 3 days don't count. And we use the last 2 business days to grade your final to grade the final evidences, and also to prepare the certification process, to make the certification process for people who present all activities, all 3 activities, and pass them all. ¿Vale? Because it's not just to present an activity. The idea is to present them, of course, but also do it according to the learning guide requirements. Okay? Because I'm going to check the learning guide requirements. This is going to be very important to me. Okay, according to the learning guide, because the schedule is based on the learning guide, we're going to present 3 activities: a video blog, and a test, and a forum. The proposal is to present the video blog between the 18th and the 23rd of July, right? So starting tomorrow. To present the forum between the 24th and the 30th of July, and finally to present the test between the 31st and the 15th of August. That doesn't mean that you cannot present the forum on the 22nd, for example, or take the test on the 20th of July. Of course, you can do it, right? However, you cannot present any of these activities after the 15th. Let's suppose the 16th, because the platform is not going to allow you to do it. Okay? So be careful with the schedule, with the dates, with the deadlines, because you can do it before, and you can present these activities before the deadline, and this is the proposal. However, you cannot present something later. So if you want to present the video blog on the, let's suppose, on the 5th of August, it's okay. If you want to present the forum on the 10th of August, it's going to be okay too. But you cannot present anything after the 15, just to take it into account. However, for your organization and my organization too, I suggest you to present the activities taking into account this schedule for your organization and my organization too. We're going to have 6 sessions, as we mentioned before, starting tomorrow. Tomorrow and on Friday and on Saturday, sorry, we're going to have 2 sessions that will allow you to develop this activity, video blog. What did you used to do when you were bored? Okay? We're going to study present simple tense, past simple tense. We are going to make a parallel. We're going to also study the used to form, and we are going to study some conjunctions, for example. In the forum, for example, we are going to check a conditional, a third conditional, and to study the test, we're going to improve our listening and reading skills by reading a text that's not related to the test, but because in the test we're going to check it, three texts. I think it's better to check a text too, and improve our what's the word, reading comprehension skills. Okay? So the learning guide explains what we are going to do and how we are going to present these 3 activities. For example, if we are going to present the forum, the learning guide says, okay, para tal fin es necesario utilizar el tercer condicional, el cual transmite estas ideas en inglés, ¿cierto? De lo que hubiésemos hecho mejor en el pasado. Y vamos a estudiar el componente formativo. You can't undo the past, but you can certainly not repeat it, for example. And the learning guide is going to explain what exactly we have to mention. So the learning guide says, in this case, for example, debe escoger 3 momentos de su vida, de los que pues, no le haya gustado de su pasado, que habría podido escoger unas mejores decisiones y responder estas preguntas. No necesariamente deben ser situaciones de las que se arrepienta porque fueron malas, solo por ser algo que con el conocimiento que tiene hoy siente que podría haber sido manejado de una mejor manera, por ejemplo, cuál fue el motivo por el cual tomó esa decisión en el momento y por qué considera que lo habría manejado de una manera diferente hoy en día. So in this forum, we are going to answer these 3 questions because the learning guide is going to be our map. We are going to present activities related to our learning guide. We are not going to present anything different. Okay? So once we know what we are going to present, because we are going to check the learning guide in every single interaction, just to remember what activities we need to present, it's a good idea to check how the platform works in this level, right? So to go to our course, we open Sayuna. We already know how it works. And in Sayuna, we open our course, English as Work Level 9. What's the important information? Let's go with every single link. In announcements, you are going to find all the information, my interaction with you. I'm going to mention here, I'm going to remind you what are the links for the sessions, for the English sessions. I'm going to remind you the partial grades. I'm going to tell you when to finish, when a resultado de aprendizaje finishes, and so on. And I want to remind you that every single Tuesday, there is a session for you to participate in the conversation club. In the conversation club, this is going to be from the third trimester until November, I guess. Yes, and here are the instructors that are designated to present an activity. The link to participate in these sessions is going to be the same, and the time is going to be always the same, always 7 p.m. For example, on the 22nd, I mean next Tuesday, Joanna is going to present something about learn to paint in English. On the 29th, you're going to learn something about accents. On the 5th, you're going to participate in the pronunciation tips in the past tense, and so on. So I suggest you to check or to take into account the announcements, because I'm going to be interacting with you maybe 2 or 3 times a week starting now, ¿vale? Well, in fact, more, maybe 4 or 5 times a week. Let's continue. Foro de dudas e inquietudes. In here, you're going to be able to ask me the questions you have about the platform, about grammar, about topics, about evidences, and so on. In Chronograma, you're going to be able to download the chronograma, the schedule, the same one I present you some moments ago in this PDF format. So if you want to download it, you can do it from here. Let's continue. This is the activity I need you to do since now. Actualización de datos personales. If you change the city of residence, let's suppose last month you used to live in Sabaneta, but now you are living in Bogota, it's important to upload your information, right? If you change your phone number, it's important to upload this information. If last week you had a tarjeta de identidad, but right now you have a cédula de ciudadanía, so you uploaded this document, it's important to upload this information here, because if you don't do it, your certification is going to be with tarjeta de identidad, for example. So if you change anything in your personal information, it's important to upgrade it in the platform. Foro Social, what do we do here? In Foro Social, this space is for you to present yourself, to mention who you are, what do you do for a living, why you are interested in taking this English Does Work Level 9 course, and so on, right? Diagnóstico de saberes previos is kind of a test. It's not graded, no se califica, but it's important for you to take it so you can know what's your English level, what's your knowledge in this level, right? The topics that you're going to evaluate in this diagnóstico de saberes previos, in this sondeo, in this test, are going to be a part of what you're going to study in this level, and something that you already learned in previous levels. Before I continue, I'm going to check the question I have here. Okay, no worries, Brenda. Vale, listo. Let's continue. Guía de aprendizaje. In the learning guide, in here, you're going to be able to download the learning guide. Once again, this is our map. This is what we are going to take into account to develop our activities, our evidences. Without this, we cannot do anything, ¿vale? It's important to take it into account. Componentes formativos. In the componentes formativos, when we open the componente formativo and follow the instructions, in this case, haga clic aquí para acceder al recurso educativo. This is going to be the information that you are going to use to develop every single activity. The video presentation, the test, or the forum. For example, to develop the video presentation, you are going to find this information useful. So, my life used to be blue, mi vida solía ser triste, grammar review. In here, you're going to study topics about present simple tense, past simple tense, past progressive tense, and I think present perfect tense, I think. Habits in past. In here, you're going to find the the modal, no, the auxiliary verb used to talk about things that you used to do in the past, and some connect sequential linkers. We're going to study conjunctions. We're going to study in our units some topics that we are going to find in the componente formativo. We're not going to take into account all the topics we can see in here, but we're going to see some of them, the most important ones in my opinion. So, componente formativo. And in here, video blog, photo, and questionario, these are the three activities you will need to develop to pass this level. Remember that it's not only to present these activities, it's also approve them. So, for example, if in the forum you are not using third conditional, I will need to tell you to repeat the activity, for example, or in the test. If you don't approve the test, you will have to repeat it, right? Because it's not just to present the activities, it's also to pass them, ¿vale? And finally, the last part of the platform is here, sesiones en línea, grabaciones, sesiones en línea. In here, in these folders, I'm going to upload the YouTube links of the recordings of these sessions, and I'm also going to give you the information I'm going to present in my presentation, just for you to take into to take in hand the topics or the information I'm going to give you, so you don't need to take notes. If you want to take notes, it's perfect. But if you prefer to have the information I'm presenting to you, it's going to be even better. ¿Vale? So take into account this folder, grabaciones, sesiones en línea, because I'm going to upload here the summaries, los resúmenes, as well as the YouTube link. ¿Vale? Something else is missing. Let me remember something. I need to change the role. There's something else I need to mention. I was forgetting to mention this. Once you complete an activity, and after I grade it, una vez que yo la califique, you will be able to check your grades in here, in the button called Calificaciones. Let's remember that you have two possibilities. You're going to see two possibilities. You're going to see an A, that's going to mean aprobado, and you're going to see a D, that's going to mean reprobado. So if you find a D, that means that you will have to repeat the activity as many times as required. ¿Vale? The idea is not to repeat the activities if you do it, if you do a good activity since the beginning. So, but if it's required for you to repeat it, you're going to find this information in here. Additionally, in the feedback or retroalimentación here, I'm going to tell you what you can improve if there's a space for improvement, and if there's no space for improvement because your activity has been well developed, I'm going to tell you that your activity was well developed. ¿Vale? So in the feedback, you're going to find my comments about your activity. Okay, we have already explored the platform, and we already mentioned what are your ways for you to communicate with me. So let's go forward in the time, and let's suppose we are already in the 20th of August, and we have already finished our activities, and we have approved all the evidences, right? So it's time for us to download our certificate. Where do we find our certificate? It's going to be available 15 business days after the end of the course. 15 business days is 3 weeks. So around the 5, the no, the 10th of September. That's the maximum time. However, it's very common for you to be able to download this certificate in only 5 business days, only after 5 business days. Therefore, it's highly probable that on the 27th you will be able to download your certificate. There are 2 ways to download your certificate. The first possibility is by going to Certificados Sena. In here, you type this CAPTCHA, you type your ID number, su cédula de ciudadanía, or registro civil, pasaporte, tarjeta de identidad, cédula de extranjería, depends on you, right? And you're going to be able to see all your certificates in here. That's the first possibility. The second possibility is by going to Sena Sofia Plus, and in the button called Certificados, you click in there, type your ID number, then you click in Consultar Certificado, and then you will be able to download your certificate. ¿Vale? These are the possibilities, these are the options you have to download your certifications. Once again, let's remember that you're going to be able to download your certificate after around 2 weeks. So 10, 15 business days, ¿vale? The platform is going to send you an email reminding you that you will be able to download the certificate in a specific time. Okay? Okay, so this is it. This is everything we needed to mention before we start with our course. So let's do a quick reminder. This is what we study. This is what we checked, sorry. This is why I introduced myself. I mentioned something important about the course, about the how Sena works. We also explored the platform. We mentioned the certification process, and we also checked some communication channels you will have available to contact me if you need it. So now it's time for you to make questions if you have any question, of course. So do you have any questions about the course, about the methodology, about the dates perhaps, about the platform or the schedule we're going to have to develop our course? Okay, Maria is typing, so I'm going to wait for you. Without T, I have no. I have not, no. I have no without T. So, okay, thank you, Maria. So this is all for today, and I will meet you tomorrow then to check the information we will need to use to develop our first activity, our video presentation. Okay? So thank you very much for coming, and have an excellent afternoon. See you next time. See you tomorrow. Take care. And thank you very much.